accept the some of these UMNO guys there who caused the downfall. So I suppose the people punish you when something like that happens, and that showed in the election results. Now in Sarawak, I think it's not so much to do with the weakness of Pakatan or even PKR. It's really to do with the fact that the GPS is quite strong and they've been performing. And this movement called Sarawak for Sarawakians, even though not linked directly to them, there is this general overall feeling that they want to keep the Malaya parties away from Sarawak. And then lastly, the Johor election, of course, PKR changed tact and started to use its own logo and campaign on its own 2 feet, so to speak. And even though we lost, I think we actually performed better than Malacca. The data seems to show that. Okay, so it is a question of 3 elections, the trend, but you really have to take out the Borneo context because that one is not fair to compare to that because we had defections as usual in PKR. So very hard to gain grounds in Sarawak, but it is fair to comment on Malacca. I think we lost and we deservedly lost in that sense because it is seen that we had a hand in the toppling of the government. In Johor, I would say that it's the staging ground for potential fight back from PKR. And with the news that Rafizi is coming back into the fold, the general feeling in PKR is that, we've already reached almost rock bottom. Now it can only get better. Okay?
I want to come back. I'll come back to Rafizi, but first let me just stay on the Johor elections. Now, looking at the results of the Johor elections, it seems like voters are slowly returning to Barisan Nasional. Even MCA and MIC, which not so long ago everybody had almost written off, seems to be making a comeback. They did relatively well in Johor. Why are voters turning back to BN after all the corruption, the scandals, and the abuses that have taken place?
Well, I can't answer why Johorian voted that way, but I can tell you that when you look at the results, right? I mean, Barisan Nasional had 40 seats, and the simplest explanation for this is in 2013, not 2018. 2018 we won. In 2013, they also won 40 seats, right? So you think that we're going back to the future or back to the past? I don't know what's the terminology here, but there's an impression out there that UMNO or Barisan Nasional is going back to its strength at the level of 2013. And if you look at the results for Pakatan Harapan compared to Pakatan Rakyat, I mean, Pakatan Rakyat was the early manifestation. We also got 12 seats. So it looks almost mirror-like. But when you go into the popular vote section, then you see that, in UMNO in 2013, UMNO Barisan Nasional garnered 53% of the vote. This time, they only got 43%. Yeah. So they're not back to this full strength. The Bosco support on the surface, because of the new media coverage, people are just curious, why is this that this person has been found guilty is now be able to, to garner welcoming support, garlands and dinner, and being celebrated by people in Johor. I don't think it's really true because the support level is 43, it's not 53. So it's not back to 2013. But because of the 3 corner fight and the 4 corner fight in many instances, and the first past the post system, they've got a 2/3 majority, right? And if you look at the numbers, the popular vote, this is why it's very important to dissect the popular vote. If you look at the Perikatan Nasional side, I mean, they did reasonably okay. They did 24%. PH, there's DAP, Keadilan, and also Amanah. We did 26%. We ended up with 12 seats at 26%. But Perikatan Nasional, they got 24% and ended up with 3 seats only. You can see how in the third past the post situation, the results do not match the popular tally. Yeah, and when you compare to 2013, UMNO is not back to 2013. If they think they're going to win a quick election at 43% nationwide, I think they could be in for a surprise. But they can win in Johor at 43% because Johor is a stronghold of UMNO. But I don't think they can perform like that in Penang or even, I would say, in Negeri Sembilan or even Selangor. So it's very important for analysts and people that are doing big data calculation to understand this basic idea that they are not back to its full strength. If we continue to say this in the media, then people start to believe, then there is going to be it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in that sense. And then people start to swing towards Najib, which is illogical. Yeah.
Okay. Now let me turn to what's going on in your party now, following its generally lackluster performance in the recent state elections. There have been renewed calls for Anwar to step down. After all, by any measure, PKR has fared poorly under his leadership now. You yourself issued a very public appeal to Rafizi Ramli to return to active politics. So is that an indication of unhappiness within the party over Anwar's leadership? Shouldn't Anwar, as party leader, take responsibility for the party's poor performance and step down?
No, of course not. I mean, Anwar is a national figure. I think his popularity has indeed dropped because it's reflective in the election results. There's no call for him to step down. He is the reason for the existence of Keadilan, right? He is still the galvanizing, the leader that we look towards for guidance. And there is no conflict when Rafizi says he wants to come back, because Rafizi is not challenging the presidency. Rafizi is fighting to become the Timbalan or the deputy president, right? So I think it is an important time for Rafizi to come back. And the party is absolutely loyal to Anwar, yeah. But I think the real challenge now is to present before the general election Anwar at the front, and then flanked by leaders who are younger. I suppose it's a generational issue, but also very capable leaders. I think that could be a benefit for the party overall.
Your party is going to be having elections in April. In May.
Yeah.
Can we expect to see a transition to a younger team of leaders, similar to what took place in the DAP?
Well, we're going to see in the next couple of days and weeks, right? The announcement of potential candidates coming up from both sides. Yeah. So we have to see whether they represent the young or represent a different generation. We're not sure yet. So at least on the side of Rafizi, of course, he's in his 40s. So he'll be representing that 40-year-old group. Yeah.
Well, on this question, since you mentioned Lim Guan Eng, what did you make of Lim Guan Eng's comment that perhaps Rafizi should challenge Anwar for the presidency of PKR rather than go for the deputy president's post?
Right. I think his comment is probably taken out of context. First thing, of course, is this is an internal PKR matter. Rafizi has never said he's going to challenge Anwar. Yeah, he's made it very clear he's going to challenge the deputy post. I don't know why he made this comment, but it is of course inappropriate, I would say so. Yeah, I'm not going to go and say who should challenge who in DAP. I mean, it's just standard responses from politicians, right? Yeah.
Okay, very diplomatic. Reflecting on Rafizi's return now, just reading all the media comments, and certainly Rafizi's return has injected some new excitement among Pakatan Harapan supporters, but it has also sparked some angry exchanges within the party. I see some of the comments that are going on. Clearly, not everyone within the party is happy. Perhaps they feel threatened. But interestingly, Anwar himself has been quiet about it. Are we going to see another bitter clash of personalities within Pakatan Harapan?
I don't think so. I mean, you mean within PKR, right?
Sorry, within PKR. So, yeah. Within PKR.
No, I don't really think so. I think in every party there are different factions. Whether whether you're in DAP, UMNO, wherever it is, it's just very normal in every political party to have factions. I think the bitterness would be Rafizi versus Azmin. That was the last one, was very bitter. In this one in particular, it looks like Saifuddin will be taking on Rafizi or Rafizi taking on Saifuddin. They are relatively on good terms, so I suppose this is going to be, I hope it will be a gentleman's contest in that sense. As for Fahash, I think that there's going to be more problems if Fahash goes against Rafizi. They're completely different, so it depends on who is really going to step up and challenge. They have to announce their candidacy relatively soon. Yeah, then we'll see whether it's going to be a nasty fight or a gentlemanly fight. I really hope it's going to be a gentlemanly fight.
Yes, I'm sure a lot of PKR supporters too. I think everybody agrees we can't afford another bitter clash like that.
Yeah. No political party can survive another bitter clash just before or the eve of a general election, right? That would be nonsensical and suicidal.
Now, here's a question from Dato Joy, who has made this comment. Pakatan Harapan should get, and PKR should get their act together. No use talking if there's disunity. I want to use that as a jumping off point to talk to you about the whole situation in Pakatan Harapan. Now, there are those who feel that the Pakatan Harapan brand is now too damaged by the actions of Dr. Mahathir, by Azmin Ali's betrayal, the less than stellar performance of the government, and infighting over a number of issues. And recently, both the DAP and Pakatan Harapan are openly mulling about whether it would be better for both parties to go to stand on their own rather than go in under a single banner. There was this whole discussion about use of logos and things like that. Do you think that Pakatan Harapan's days are numbered, that it's time to explore new formulas going into GE15?
No, I absolutely don't think so. I mean, the issue about logo, people conflate it into like a disunity issue. A lot of people need to understand when you use a logo, you use it for political advantages. What can be advantageous to DAP may not necessarily be advantageous to PKR or advantageous to Amanah, right? So in the logo case, I think we've already stated this many times. In the Sabah election, the recent Sabah election, DAP and Amanah decided to use Warisan logo. Warisan is not even in Pakatan Harapan. You don't see PKR leaders standing on top of the mountain shouting down about disunity and all that. Why did DAP and Amanah use the Warisan logo? Because in their computation, they get a slight advantage over it. In Johor, we take the other way around. Johor, because we lost so badly in Malacca, PKR wanted to see, but when we use our own logo, will we perform better? Now, the results looks terrible, but empirically speaking, and this is where a lot of analysts out there should do their job, those people that comment about all sort of things, the academics on this, look at the data, for God's sake, look at the data and then tell me, where is it that PKR did not improve their numbers in comparison to even Amanah in the Johor election? PKR has the worst seats in every election. We have the most Malay majority in our area, much more than Amanah by 5 to 6%, lesser non-Malays, lesser Chinese, and yet we performed reasonably well in the context. Yes, we ended up winning one seat only, but if I give DAP all the Keadilan seats and we take over all the DAP seats, I'm sure you're going to get the similar results ultimately, right? So a lot of the so-called critics out there, I understand, but you are blindly going in a direction, blaming everybody, but you're not looking at the data. This is where we're not going to try to publicly engage people and argue about perception and all this kind of thing. To me, I'm very clear. I'm a technocrat. I look at the data. I'm telling you that this strategy works for PKR, but it didn't work enough for us to win. There are other factors for people to win, right? But empirically speaking, we did better, okay? So I don't know whether the top leadership thinks that they want to go back to using Pakatan. But as you know, Dennis, you said it just now, right? The Pakatan logo is linked to Mahathir, and we haven't resolved those issues. We haven't explained to people why 22 months did not produce all the reforms that we promised. So, there is a point where politicians will try other models. We may go back all to one flag, or we may all use their own separate flag, but Pakatan Harapan is there to stay. And that decision in Johor, everybody was on board. They signed that document, to say that you can use your own logo. Then a few days later, you say, "Oh, I actually, I think it was a mistake." Then why did you sign it? this is this is where all I'm saying is politicians, right? I mean, it's good lah. When results are great, they are like all genius. When the results are not that great, they blame other things. But decision, they're all adults. They're not children. Yeah. So for those who are very critical, you're entitled to your criticism for sure. Yeah, and accept it. But please show me the data, and then we can talk about really your criticism is valid, or are you feeling anger and you're just venting out on somebody? That's my view. Yeah. Okay.
It's all well and good to talk about the empirical, the data, and that has its place. But at the end of the day, elections are about winning. You can have all the data you like, but if you don't win, it doesn't make much. It's not as useful as it should be. What will it take to win, to regain that kind of support that PKR in particular once had?
No. The issue is this, Dennis. Look, if we play a game of football, right, and I use a defensive strategy of some sort, and I ended up losing 1-0, right? And if I use an attacking strategy instead of defensive strategy, I end up losing 3-0. Empirically, you should use the defensive strategy, right? But to win that goal, to win that particular game, you need a different game plan, right? What is that game plan? I mean, that's the there's a $60 million question. What is it? To me, it's very clear. We did not reform in the 22 months or carry out the reform to people's satisfaction. Therefore, we have to face that issue, apologize first, get some closure, then give a new vision of what you want to do.
But why hasn't PKR and Pakatan Harapan done? I mean, you obviously seem to know what needs to be done. Why hasn't it been done?
Well,
That's a lot of the questions that I get. People want to know why hasn't it been done?
I don't know. You have to ask the senior leaders, right? I mean, we're the technocrats. We're just telling them this is what a suggestion is. I don't have. I mean, I'm not like like a super brainy guy who can give you a solution. But I'm saying that for most issues, if you promise people and don't deliver on the manifesto, the first thing you should do in a normal case is just apologize, and then try to win back their support, right? But as in everything, it's going to take years. It's going to take years. We know. Okay. So what is it then we have to do? I'm not sure. But if you continue to say that, oh, we did very well, we didn't really do anything wrong, then obviously people are not going to forgive you, and that's showing in the electoral results, right? What strategy are they supposed to pursue? I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I have a few ideas, but we're not here to share it publicly, lah. I mean, these are after a political party. We need to have our arsenals, and we need to keep them secret before we deploy them. But the fact that Rafizi has come back, or at least made an announcement to come back, that's already given us a little bit of a boost. So people are looking for possibly new direction, new faces, more policy, possibly, yeah, or people are looking at ideas on how to improve their lives, fight inflation. Those are constant issues that will manifest itself during the coming election. Remember, 60% of voters are always economic voters. So are we appealing to them? What is the right messaging? You have to do survey, you have to go on the ground, you need quantitative data, and you also need qualitative gut feel from the politicians themselves. Yeah. My office is a policy office. We note things, we write things, we look at the data, we look at election results, and then we make a guess whether those electoral strategy we use have produced results or not. Yeah. So in Johor, I think we are on the right path. People may disagree, but show me the data, and then we can argue whether you can agree or disagree on the issue. Okay.
But can I just press you a little further on this whole thing? It seems to me like, you said that we're looking at this, we're looking at that, we're looking at that. I mean, wouldn't somebody say that it's amazing that an established political party, after all these defeats, still looking at this and looking at that, they still have no clear vision of what needs to be done? Is that an unfair question?
It is an unfair question, Dennis. As you know, running a company or running any organization, when you're in a crisis, you try off a few examples on how to, a few strategies, right? Sure, time is running out, so you try your best and look at the strategies. After the election, you look at the post-mortem. And in fact, not only you have to do the post-mortem quantitative survey, you have to do qualitative survey again and ask people, why did you vote this way? And then you try and strategize again. Yeah.
But it's
You
been 2 years, almost 2 years. I mean, it's all, these things have been going on, and it still seems to me. I mean, I guess I find it kind of difficult to understand why, after all this time, after a series of defeats,
it's very simple.
Pakatan Harapan hasn't been able to come up with at least a game plan going forward.
No, no. Look, Dennis. You just have to look at the history. I mean, some of the policies that Pakatan Harapan picked up on the new strategy, right? The big tent strategy, has it worked out? I mean, they spent a whole year engaging Warisan, right? Yeah. And what happened? Warisan contested us in Johor. Warisan took in a lot of ex-DAP members. Yeah. And rumors have it they're going to contest in Penang. So you're telling me that the architect of all these strategies, have they said that it doesn't work anymore? No, instead we're hearing more Big Tent story. So I don't call the shots. I represent PKR, and within PKR, I tell what I tell. I may not be right. It's up to the leaders. So the PKR leadership has a certain view. DAP leadership has a certain view. They are the pro Big Tent people, right? Amana is also pro Big Tent. So they ran the Big Tent thing for a year and a half or whatever it is, right? There were so many glowing things about how great Shafi Abdul could be the next prime minister and all that kind of thing. So you ask them, Dennis, don't ask me. Yeah, to say that that we don't have a strategy. They had a strategy. They went with that and see what happened. Yeah, and still no one is talking about abandoning the Big Tent issue. So there you have it.
I'll come to the Big Tent, but let me ask you this: after Malacca, judging by the statements that Datuk Anwar Ibrahim made about the DAP, he said that we tried to convince the electorate that the DAP was not as bad as UMNO had made it out to be, but we failed to convince them. It seemed to me like he was making a case that perhaps PKR would be better off without DAP in the same tent, although they would cooperate. Is that something that's being talked about?
No, Dennis, that's not the right perception. I understand your question, right? The DAP is a long-time ally. We've been allies for what, 20 years? I mean, this is not a short romance. We have deep ties with them. We may have disagreement with some of their leaders. Yeah, we may feel that they've wronged us in any way or slighted us or whatever when they decided to support Mahathir fully. Whatever it is, we're still allies and we're long-term allies. The Big Tent issue was their attempt to try to regain support, and we gave them the leeway to do so, right? So I think in a coalition, you need to have a majority to speak, and DAP and Amana are obviously one majority. So we tend to give them the opportunity to try out their things. But when it doesn't work, then PKR wants to use their own flag in Johor. We expect some sort of decorum and respect back to us. And they did sign that document. It was issued as a press statement. But don't go 3 days later complain about this, and after election complain again, right? You want to complain? Can show me the data. Where is it that we've gone wrong? Whether the DAP has support from Malays or not, I think that's empirically proven that the Malays are not very conducive or not very supportive of the DAP, right? To say that we abandoned them? No, of course not. We have Malay seats, we have mixed seats, we have Chinese seats. So we are in a coalition together for better or worse. What needs to be done now is to look forward, since there is a new leadership in DAP, right? Then PKR is going to go through its election. Anwar will still be the leader, but is supported by whoever's the deputy, right? There will be new direction from there. So hopefully all these parties will put aside the 2018 to 2020 when everything was kind of blur. Anwar was waiting in the wings but never become prime minister. all those things need to be hashed out, to be fair. Yeah, I don't want to blame people, but there must be acceptance of mistakes made, and healing process, So if you don't heal and you keep sniping at each other and blame each other for so-called disunity, that kind of thing, it's not helping anybody, right? So to me, this is the best opportunity to try to revisit what it means to be in Pakatan Harapan. We are united, we are strong, and under Anthony Loke, possibly it can grow stronger.
You are united and you expect to go stronger.
I think so.
Okay.
I really think so. I mean, there's a lot to be said, right?
What do you make of all this? What do you make of all the sniping that's going on, the different statements and things? I mean,
they have to stop, that's what I'm saying.
As outsiders, I mean, this is the public perception, as how the public views when they see all these things. It's hard not to conclude that there are differences, that they have not been able to resolve them, that things are perhaps not going as well as it ought to be. And if that's not true, then isn't it incumbent upon the leadership to take action to resolve it?
Dennis, that's what I'm saying. It takes two persons to tango, right? If one side blames the other and the other side keeps quiet, it's not going to help, is it? Right? So how can you all think that the PKR is at the major fault here? I just don't understand.
No, I didn't say that. I just said that it seems that there's this sparring within Pakatan Harapan.
Then I'm
not assigning any blame to anybody more than the other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Those senior politicians out there better get their act together on this issue. For us who are on the technocrat and looking at this, we also get headache, right? So, but whatever it is, there is a new leadership in DAP. We hope that it will strengthen the PH overall. Yeah.
Okay. You talked earlier about the big tent, and again, just going by I'm not a party to the inside discussion. I'm just looking at all the media reports. There seem to be differences between PKR and DAP on the so-called big tent option, whether to forge a broad coalition with all opposition parties, including Barisan Nasional, to challenge BN. I mean, you've seen, I think somebody from Amanah put together all the votes that were collated, all the votes that went to all opposition parties, including PN, and found that they could outdo Barisan Nasional significantly. Is PKR willing to work with Bersatu and PAS in order to stop BN returning to power?
Okay, let me just correct this properly. Every time there's some problem, everybody says PKR is involved somehow, right? This is not true. You read the news properly, Dennis, and to all those who are listening, read it carefully. Go and check your Malaysia Kini, okay? Who talked about talking to Barisan Nasional? It was basically Amanah Youth. Who replied, we're not talking to Barisan Nasional? It was DAP Youth, okay? So please, where's the PKR involvement in this?
But if I'm not mistaken, there was one report from somebody in PKR talking about maybe this is something that we need to consider.
No, I don't know who
but whatever it is, I mean, it is one of the topics for discussion, and I guess what I'm asking you is...
I know, Dennis. It's just
what's your view on it?
The public perception is so negative on PKR. I just don't understand it, right? So please, all those people out there, we're not a punching bag for you to smash around every day, every other day, okay? Just look at the facts properly, and then, I'm quite happy to answer questions. On Barisan Nasional, if you ask me, I don't have the pay grade of becoming the senior leaders to decide this kind of thing. But if you ask me personally as a member of parliament from PKR, right, I would not do a deal with Azmin Ali. There's no way in hell I would consider that. Yeah? If you are talking about, if you're thinking, we should allow these people to come back just for survival's sake, I think that's a big mistake. That's my personal view. The decision of Pakatan Harapan, in this case, Amanah Youth talked about it, and DAP Youth quickly say no. I don't know what's going on. They get instruction from the senior leaders. Let them discuss. Let them answer. I'm not here to answer on their behalf. So that's my personal. I can answer on my personal view, and my personal view is no way. Yeah.
Can I come back to your thing? You said that people think PKR is a punching bag. I have talked to many people, I'm sure you have too, who are actually die-hard Pakatan Harapan supporters. They are not your enemies, but there's a huge body of Pakatan Harapan supporters, including PKR supporters, who just feel frustrated that they see UMNO making this return, surging forward. And can you understand the frustration of a lot of PKR and Pakatan Harapan supporters who feel helpless and frustrated that
Dennis,
while UMNO is making a surge coming back, Pakatan Harapan is still trying to find its way? You yourself, at the beginning, when I talked about losing your way, you said, yes, well, we have to a certain extent lost our way. But my point is, it's not simply blindly punching bag or blind criticism. There
no,
are a
no,
lot of people who are frustrated. They want to see you do well.
I know, Dennis. I know. When I say punching bag, is when you all think that Pika is involved in something, and you punch us. If we did something wrong, go ahead and punch like it's okay lah. We're adults here, right? When you assume that Pika is involved in something, when the news clearly show that Pika is not involved, that's called punching bag. That's just being unfair. If you're talking
But
about no, let me finish that. If you're talking about venting, right? Our supporters, we love them because we're there in power because of them, of course. And they have every right to be angry politicians, right? But don't think the moment that I am happy to see this situation. I have forgone my career as a businessman and also as a lawyer for 10 years. I dedicated myself to change this country for you, for everybody there, our supporters. So what do you think is going through my brain? Yeah, to see the return of Bosco performing better. What do you think goes through my heart and soul when I see 22 months of rule under Mahathir and nothing getting done? Don't tell me that you feel more pain than me, because most of you did not quit your job for 10 years, right? You didn't do that kind of thing. The sacrifice, the weekends away from your family, yeah, attending party meeting yesterday until 11:30 at night. I think you all don't understand. You think politicians are just like, oh, happy to be there doing nothing. We do a lot more. We care a lot more. Of course, if you worry 10%, I'm worrying 110%. Okay, I'm not trying to brush aside your concerns. We live on those concerns every day, and we pay the price through our family, through our financial status, through the threat of being thrown into jail, right? We attack people. People whack us every day. I mean, it's there. You think I enjoy the fact? Remember when we criticized Mahathir early on? You know how many thousands of emails asking me to resign for defending Rafizi? You guys look at the mirror and ask yourself that question. Yeah, to assume that your pain is greater than mine, please lah. Yeah, please. Why don't you quit your job for 10 years? Join us. Then you have a right to criticize.
I think you're being rather unfair. You
No,
chose
I'm not.
this.
I'm not.
Yeah, but wait a minute. You chose to do this. We supported you. I mean, I'm not talking about we, but I'm talking about Pakatan Harapan. I'm supposed to be neutral, but Pakatan Harapan supporters, and many of them, they sacrificed. They went out on the streets. They gave. They participated. Surely that gives them some right to give some input. And isn't it unfair to take criticism or comment as punching?
No. Listen, Dennis. Listen carefully, right? I empathize where you guys are coming from. But the question put in a phrase that assuming that I don't care, I don't listen to you. Yeah. And therefore my response is emotional. It's of course. Because I have done a lot more, right? Rightfully or wrongly, I've sacrificed so much more than most of you out there. To say that I don't empathize with your concerns, I can't sleep at night because of this kind of thing. I sleep 5 hours a day. Yeah. Okay. So, we are all on the same boat. But please, yeah, do not assume that we are doing all the worst things in the world, that we don't care, we don't hear, we don't listen to you.
But that's a false assumption, because nobody has said that.
No,
maybe somebody has told you that, but I'm not
no.
making that inference, certainly.
No, never mind. I mean, look. This is not going anywhere in terms of those questioning. But you should watch back the video later, Then you get why I'm so upset about this particular comment. Yeah. Okay,
All
but
right.
let's move on,
Oh,
Dennis. It's okay.
all right, let's
I
move
mean,
on.
look, we
Now,
have no bad blood, We are friends. You come to
yes,
my house for dinner.
absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
are all in the same boat. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. But still on PKR, again, just going by the media reports, PKR seems somewhat reluctant to work with Muda. Rafizi, for example, recently said that Muda did not add any value to Pakatan Harapan, that it failed to bring in younger voters. According to Rafizi, 99% of newly registered voters did not even check their registration. How would you respond to that? Do you think there's a place for Muda within the Pakatan Harapan coalition?
Okay, look, 2 days ago or 2 or 3 days ago, there's a Ilham Center. I think it's Ilham Center, or some sort of research center that has come out a report on the youth performance, right? So that question, those data that they've crunched, you have to ask them. But we also crunch our data. Look, again, the data doesn't show that the turnout rate was great. Okay, in fact, the youth vote turnout rate was lower than the average for Johor. That is a fact. Again, if you couch the question as if we're against Muda, we're telling you the data tells you that Muda did not perform as they promised to perform. There could be many reasons for that. Yeah. But perhaps you should ask the Muda people to show data where they have actually brought out more voters than what Ilham Center has I think it's Ilham Center, I'm not sure. The research center has reported. I think it's in Malaysia Insight. I read the report on that. So you need to ask that the people who wrote that report, and better still ask Muda to refute the report. Then we can hear and see did they really perform or not. Yeah. But on the ground, a lot of qualitative responses, they didn't perform up to expectation.
Yeah, that's what, in fact, what Rafizi was suggesting. And Rafizi, in fact, if I remember correctly, in his statement, even said something to the effect that even in the seat that they won largely on the strength of Pakatan Harapan supporters who turned up to support for them because they received the endorsement from Pakatan Harapan.
Okay.
Why do you think the youth
on that one, Dennis?
Okay.
Yeah, on that one, Dennis, the seat that they won was an Amanah seat. Amanah gave their premium seat to them. So for this question to be answered, you shouldn't ask PKR, then you say we're biased or whatever. Just ask the Amanah leadership for their views on this particular thing. Because they are the one who gave up the seat. So whether they're angry or happy, you should ask them. Okay?
Fair enough. Now I've lost my... okay, yeah. The youth vote, everybody was expecting big things from the youth vote, and certainly I think Syed Saddiq was instrumental in putting out this idea that the youth can be mobilized, they are interested, they are on fire, they are passionate. We didn't see that happen. What is your take on this youth vote? Are they energized? Are they interested? Where do they stand? What's going on in that whole segment of the voting bloc?
I really can't say because my area of specialty is not youth vote. Like my Facebook followers, they're all the guys in their 40s, like my age group. Sorry. So I do have a better understanding of that demographics, right? The youth vote. I have a lot of interns, yes, and they tell me stuff, but I can't say because I don't track them on my Facebook. They're not very prominent on my Facebook. It's all the professional class people that are mostly on my Facebook, whom I can track and understand. Like if I say a certain topic, I know that they're interested in that matter, right? So I can't comment. I mean, this one is better you ask a youth leader like AMK from Amanah or DAP or even Muda themselves to explain. Yeah, but they are a substantial amount of people. And the data seems to show that they didn't turn out. The turnout rate was lower than those in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Yeah, so it is a concern.
Yep, especially if you think in terms of moving ahead to G15 and all this big talk about the huge number of new voters adding in, and of course, if they don't turn up to vote or they're not even interested, then they don't matter at all. So it was in that sense, Johor was a real eye opener.
No,
I
Dennis, that's
think.
why the saying that, you, the voters, choose your government is absolutely correct. Yeah, the role of the politician is to sell a narrative, to sell either fear or hope. This is normal. I'm not saying anything beyond that. The political game is a question of narrative, and then you are proposing your manifesto, you're proposing your ideas and your faces, your logos, your brand, your image, and then people choose. You know, if you sell your narrative well, it can help, but most of the decisions, for whatever reason, is decided by economic voters. Yeah, we won in 2018 largely due to the GST issue. Yeah, it's the economic vote that matters the most. So if you get it right, if your stars align, where you put in a good team, a good narrative, a good manifesto, and then you can actually carry out the manifesto, that's a benefit, right? But most of the votes, the swing votes, are the key crucial issues, whether you win or lose an election. Okay, but it's up to the voters, really.
Okay. Here, let's take a question. Here's a question from Mary Magdalene. YB, what do you think needs to be done to shake up things in PKR and move it along on a more effective trajectory?
Okay, well, we are a democratic party, so the party election is going to shake up the PKR. Yeah. Personally, I would like to see the return of Rafizi. To me, that's a shaking up in the right direction. But it's really up to the party to decide which direction they want, and whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, we're having an election in May. So the party will decide. I mean, DAP just had their election, so you can see that new leadership, new direction. Yeah. Okay.
Can I?
To me, it's Rafizi lah, the Rafizi factor. Yeah.
The Rafizi factor. Yeah, I like I said earlier, I see there's a whole lot of buzz created by his return. It's like he has suddenly energized the whole narrative. I don't know about whether he's energized the party, but certainly he has energized the whole narrative, and perhaps that's what PKR needs going forward. Can I ask you about the memorandum of understanding?
Yeah,
You
sure.
served on the select committee. Was it worth it? What's your take on the memorandum of understanding?
Okay, you must understand the memorandum understanding. There was one earlier. It wasn't an MOU lah. It was a CSA, yeah, confidence and supply agreement, that was leaked involving a couple of DAP guys. Okay, they've not refuted the issue. I think more or less accepted that it actually was signed. Yeah. So then there was an initiative by one component member in the Pakatan Harapan, right? Once it was leaked, of course, Pakatan Harapan called for a meeting and tried to resolve the matter. So it was resolved that since some of the DAP guys already signed this thing, we must try and exploit further. Yeah. So then they formed the committee. I was brought in for PKR side because I'm the technocrat and the public policy guy. And then Anthony Lip was on the other side. There were other senior leaders. We were basically the working team. DAP had, if I remember, Gobin and Anthony Loh. For PKR, it was me and William. And for Amana, it was Dr. Zol and another member who is relatively junior. Yeah. So ding dong, it ended up that the corporate lawyer, me, have to draft the MOU. So I spent 3 or 4 days consulting all of them, and then I started drafting the MOU. Of course, the MOU is way superior than the CSA that was signed, that was leaked in there, right? We considered many issues. The first one is, of course, the MOU is non-binding, right? We considered whether we are entitled to support or to abstain from the budget vote, okay? And then we said, look, what is it we want now? The king already said we have COVID-19. Remember, this is September. Yeah, numbers are ultra high. The economy is failing, right? So in that period, you say, okay, enough of this quarrel. Yeah, let's try to focus on the pandemic. Let's try to get the economy better. So let's pass a good budget. So that's the main purpose of the MOU. Then we say, okay, why don't we press them for the reforms we need. So we put in 19 reforms. Some of these reforms are very specific. Some of these reforms are like ensure the independence of the judiciary. That is a continuing process of monitoring. If suddenly, say, Najib is found not guilty by the judiciary, and we feel that the judicial judgment is definitely illogical and influenced by political pressure, then the MOU is over, right? But you can't say that the target of independent judiciary completes. There's no end target to it. So some of these reforms are like that. Some are like very specific. Make sure half of the select committees are chaired by the opposition, the other half by the government. Make sure we have a representation inside the National Recovery Council. And now I'm now a member in the National Recovery Council. So there are many things. People comment about MOU without reading it, and they don't understand it. There are targets that we've achieved. There are ongoing projects that we continue to monitor. And then there are the big legislations we're supposed to deliver, right? Out of all this, you can say that we've done, 15, 16, right? Yeah. So what we know now is there's 3 more important legislation outstanding: anti-hopping, the 10-year term limit for the Prime Minister, and the Parliamentary Services Act. What we did was we create a steering committee to continue to monitor the progress of all of this. Yeah. The anti-hopping law is supposed to be completed last Thursday, tabled and passed last Thursday. 2 weeks ago, the government told us they have a problem. And that problem is basically their own coalition cannot agree on it. In particular, as what we heard is that Bersatu did not agree to the anti-hopping law, right? So they asked us for time. Do you cancel the MOU now when the bill is almost ready? Or do you say we give you a bit more time? So they negotiated. Now the government has just passed an official letter from the speaker that we're going to debate and consider, not necessarily pass it, consider the bill on the 11th of April. So, that's 3 weeks from now, right?
Do you think the voters understand the significance of the MOU?
That's the thing. I mean, the voters don't understand. I mean, it's ironic because it's there for you all to read. It's in the Parliament website. You can look at it in my Facebook. You can look at other people. There's no secrecy in the MOU.
Isn't it strange that you are blaming the voters?
No, I'm not blaming the voters. Dennis, look,
you keep saying the voters don't understand. Isn't it also incumbent upon?
No, it's true. The voters actually don't understand. That's why you're asking me this question, Dennis, right? I mean, you are a learned person, a former ambassador. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't think you've read the MOU or fully understood it, right? And I don't.
Actually, I have. But my task here is to ask the questions that are out there, questions people are asking. And this is one of the questions I hear a lot of times. I hear people saying, "Oh, what has the MOU done?" There was an article in Malaysia Kini or something that said, "Oh, the MOU only benefited Anwar." I know you disagree with all that, but it's out there. So the point I'm making is that it's also incumbent upon political parties, to educate, to explain, and maybe there's not been enough of that. That's what I'm saying.
No, absolutely. There's definitely not been enough of that, right? I mean, I drafted it, so I know inside out of it. I sat in the budget committee. Look, some of these things that the MOU has done is unheard of in Malaysian history. Yeah? Budgets are prepared by the federal government without consultation. The first time ever after the MOU was signed, we had 13 engagement with the Minister of Finance to look at the terms of the actual budget itself. The request we asked for, they gave, to be fair to Tengku Zafrul, right? Because there was that spirit of the MOU that we need to recover from COVID and we need to grow the economy back, and taking the spirit of the guidance from the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Yeah? If there's a misconception of what the MOU really is, then yes, it's partly the failure of the Pakatan Harapan to sell the MOU, right? But if you read all the news carefully, there were members in Pakatan Harapan that was attacking the MOU themselves. You understand that? And then, of course, Warisan keeps saying that this MOU is useless and whatever. To some extent, Muda also went on that campaign. So they are the ones who's making this. They should think better lah through the process. Yeah. And then at the same time, DAP and Amana was wooing, Warisan, and at the same time, Warisan was whacking them for the MOU. I don't understand this. Of course, people are confused, right? So I think those questions need to be asked by those people who are, who did those things, lah, right? Yes, we are fault if you say that people don't understand, and that's blame to us. Yeah, we accept that kind of failure, because then it's a communication failure. But if you ask me personally what I view about the MOU, I think the MOU did a lot of things that we did not deliver in the 22 months. So to me, I think the MOU is a good thing, and history will show. Yeah, history will show many years later, when the heat dies down, that we did a lot of things that have changed Malaysia, But as most things lah, if you don't communicate well, of course you kena hantam lah, right?
Okay, fair enough. Let me ask you about following the victory in Malacca and Johor. There's a lot of talk about early elections. UMNO is pushing hard for early elections. Do you anticipate elections will be held this year?
I think the conventional wisdom is it will be held this year. And I if you ask me now, I think it will be held in September. Yeah.
Is Pakatan Harapan ready?
Well, political parties, whether they are ready or not, they have to get ready. So to say, right? Look, they as I said, and as we discussed earlier, 10, 20 minutes ago, they thought the Big Ten was a good idea. So they explored it for 1 year and 1 year and 1 year plus, right? Now the Big Ten looks like it's been sunk by Warisan attacking us in Johor, taking in DAP members. Now DAP thinks that it's no longer viable, but some of them still think it's viable. I don't know. So these senior leaders out there, the strategies and the grand strategies, all these people, I mean, don't ask the policy guy. I can't make sense of it. So I can only say my views, and then they decide. Yeah. So whether they're ready or not, they better get ready, because I don't think we can stop it. At any rate, the election will have to take place in May next year, right? Because it's 5-year term.
Yes.
So whether you're ready now or you're ready, 9 months later or a year later, is your thing. You have to decide.
Rafizi, I hear so much in the news. So Rafizi was quoted as saying, and I'm sure you saw it, that the best, he said, and I quote, "The best I can hope for realistically now is to make sure Harapan stays intact as the largest opposition bloc in parliament after the next general election." And he said he was hoping that the best that he was hoping for would be to win 80 seats to remain relevant. So he seems to be saying that Pakatan Harapan has no chance of winning back power, or very little chance of winning back power in Putrajaya, that the best it can hope for is to remain the largest opposition bloc in parliament. Is that the best that Pakatan Harapan can hope for in GA15?
Well, the numbers seems to suggest that. So, but are we hoping for 80? No, of course we're hoping to go back to power, right? I mean, Dennis, you might be dreaming, or people out there might be hoping to win the lottery next week, but the chances of winning is, as you know, right? So to say that we are only going to try for 80, I think it's probably taken out of context. We should try to win, but we should also prepare to defend at least 80. I think that's what his statement really is about. I mean, you go into a contest, you hope to win, yeah, and miracles can happen. Yeah, things can change. This Ukrainian war might drive up petrol prices, might drive up cost of goods. In fact, food prices are set to rise. So that could also damage the government. We don't know. There are a few more factors out there that we have to consider, because ultimately, as I say, and I'll continue to say this, the economic voters decide. And the economic voters is about 60% of the population. Yeah, including the young people who are obviously now economic voters. They're not die-hard supporters of ours. Yeah.
You personally, will you go into GA15 with a sense of optimism, the same kind of optimism you had J14?
Well, when the time comes, I will see lah. I mean, look, at the moment, we are at a low for sure. I'm not delusional. Please, that is, yeah. Of course, we're at the low. We're almost rock bottom, right? But with Rafizi coming back, I'm feeling a bit more lifted. If he wins the party election, of course, we will get some momentum. So maybe 3 months or 6 months down the line, when the election really happens, we will. I'll tell you how I feel, and Dennis, I'll give you a call and a text. At least I promise you that, right? But of course, all politicians have to be hopeful, because if you're not hopeful, the voters can sense it. You can say it has an impact on morale, and it has an impact on your team morale. Winning an election is, as I say, largely dependent on the economics. But if you feel very confident and your team works hard, you can swing 5%, 10% in your favor. So in a three-corner fight, where you have a 3 or 4 corner fight now potentially, you can have that swing of 5-10%, whether it's from your flag, from your workers working harder, or from your demeanor itself, can actually win a seat. You don't know, because we've seen it in Johor, right? 43% UMNO popular support, but translated to 2/3 of the seats. I mean, if you look at it mathematically, you think, how is that possible? Right? But it can be, because it's first past the post. Okay.
And it also shows that how much the odds are stacked against the opposition going in because of gerrymandering and that and all that, isn't it?
Yeah, but to be fair, we already factored that in when we go into battle, right? So for PKR, we have the seats that are difficult to win. There's no doubt. But we don't complain and worry about that kind of thing, because there is a trade-off. We take the lousier seats, but we compete in more seats. So when the swing is in our favor, like in 2018, we ended up bigger than DAP, right? So it's a trade-off. It's called strategic trade-off, lah. Yeah, we're not greedy. People always say like we're very greedy. I want to contest so many. We're contesting all the lousy seats. You have to understand. Yeah, therefore, to compensate that, they give us more seats to contest. That's just it. It's a mathematical thing. When it works in our favor, it pays off handsomely. When it works against us, we lose badly. Whereas DAP is a constant seat, right? It's all the Chinese seats they're taking. So unless there's a swing of Chinese go back to MCA, which is very unlikely, they're going to have constant results. That's just the way it is. Yeah. As I said at the start of this interview, I said, look, if you give me the Chinese seats, VKR will probably perform the same. And if we give the Malay seats to all DAP, they'll probably perform the same as VKR. Yeah. Okay.
Very good. Wong Chen, thank you very much for talking to Critical Conversations. And to all our viewers, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you so much, Dennis.